Welcome everybody to TDT Media. This is another NFL draft profile / Senior Bowl profile that we're going to do as we prepare for the Senior Bowl coming in these next couple of weeks. And then after the Senior Bowl, we'll be preparing for the NFL draft because this is a lot of these players' last opportunities to show these NFL scouts who they really are. So they have a lot to prove in the Senior Bowl game to prepare for the NFL draft. So we'll see what teams pick these kind of players. But today, I'm going to be talking about Missouri's own Cody Schrader. That's who I'm going to be previewing today. And I hope y'all see what I see in the dude. To start off, we'll talk about that as I said, he is Missouri's own. He was born in St. Louis, Missouri, where he attended high school as well. He's 5'9". He's about 214 pounds. Now we go to his, we'll say, junior year in college where he attended Truman State. So he started at Truman State because a Division I school did not offer a scholarship for him, and he wanted to start somewhere. So you got to start somewhere. Truman State, in 12 games played, he had 300 rushing attempts for over 2,000 yards, 2,074 yards to be exact. 6.9 average yards a rush with 25 touchdowns. And then he had about 214 yards receiving with the touchdown tacked onto it. Now, Truman State was not where Cody Schrader felt he belonged. He still had a little bit of that hometown blood pumping through his veins. So he decided that he was going to transfer to Missouri, his dream college, and walk on. Well, was that a good choice for Schrader? In 2022, he played in 13 games. He had 170 attempts rushing for 745 yards, 4.4 yards per rush, 9 touchdowns. And then we see his receiving yards kind of decline at 137 for the year with no touchdowns. So it's hard going from Division II, Division III, whatever Truman State is, into the SEC. Of course, you're playing the most competitive college football that you can play, arguably in the SEC. So we go into his super senior season, as I like to call it, his last season in college, where he's really got to prove that, hey, I'm a running back these NFL scouts want. So we see in 2023, which is the year of Cody Schrader, he had about 276 yards attempts, 13 games played. He had a whopping 1,627 yards rushing in the SEC. Against these SEC defenses, that's pretty good. About 5.8 average yards a rush, 14 touchdowns. And then we see his receiving yards decline even more than last year with 91 yards and 0 touchdowns. But with stats comes awards. So his last year at Truman State in 2021, he was first team all GLVC, which is Great Lakes Valley Conference. And this is his second year in a row actually getting the award. And then in 2021 as well, he got the Great Lakes Valley Conference Co-Offensive Player of the Year award. And so with this resume, he felt that it was right for him to transfer into bigger and better things. So he goes to Missouri, doesn't win much in 2022, but in 2023, like I said, it's the year of Cody Schrader. He won first team All SEC, he was a consensus All American, and won the Burrowsworth Trophy, which is given, if you've ever seen the movie Greater and know the story of Brandon Burrowsworth, it's the award given to the most outstanding FBS college football walk-on player. So we see him walk on, and we see him maybe not have much as a big of impact as Brandon Burrowsworth did when he walked on in Arkansas, but he had a big impact for this Missouri team nonetheless. So we go into the pros and cons of Cody Schrader. What can Cody Schrader actually do? What makes Cody Schrader a first team All SEC and a consensus All American? Well, the man has very high IQ when it comes to football. It helps him know exactly how and where to follow his blocks. If he sees his lineman going right, he's going to go right and follow him. If he sees him kind of shift a little bit, he's going to go in between the linemen and make sure he can get as many yards as he can per his attempt. Another one, although he's not the tallest running back, He uses his height to his advantage very, very well, having incredible balance. He has great balance. His center of gravity is very low, and it's very good for Schrader. He can make something out of nothing. But we go on to the cons of Cody Schrader. What can Cody Schrader work on kind of before he wants to prove himself in the NFL? So he needs blocking. His blocking needs work. When you go to the NFL, you have to know how to run the ball and you have to know how to block just as well as you can run the ball. Because if you can't block, what are we going to use you for? And of course, you can have other running backs in the depth chart to kind of help with that blocking, but a running back needs to know how to block. And this is something that needs work with Cody Schrader. Now, he's slower than most running backs, I will say. He has about a 4.6 40, and it's hard for him to kind of run past defenders on the field. So if he's running kind of east and west and defenders kind of diagonal north and south in them, it's not going to be very easy for him to kind of run past that defender. The defender, about 9 times out of 10, reaches up to him and tackles him. Now, that's something he needs to work on. Maybe has a little bit of juking in him. And we'll see what happens in the Senior Bowl going into the NFL draft. Now, my NFL comparison. We look at a dude who had a pretty good year. Kind of, he had a good year on the Steelers. He was splitting carries with Najee Harris almost. He was a definitive second string running back. I'm talking about Jaylen Warren. Now, they're very comparable in size. Cody Schrader's at about 5'9". Jaylen Warren's is about 5'8". Cody Schrader's 214. Warren's about 215. Now, he has a 4.6 40 for Schrader. Warren has a 4.55 40. Now, very, very similar builds and players. In college, I'm going to have to give the edge to Cody Schrader. He did a lot more in college than Jaylen Warren did. So because of that, Warren went undrafted in 2022, and he played 16 games in his rookie year, didn't start a single one, and then he played 17 games this year, didn't start a single one. But that doesn't mean he wasn't a contributor to that Steelers team. He did what a second string running back was supposed to do, and that's carry the rest of the load that Najee couldn't carry. And because of this, I can see Schrader being a great depth position as a second string running back if a first string running back isn't ideal for him as a player. Now, getting rid of the comparison, let's go and see what Cody Schrader can actually do on the field. I'm going to pull up some film, and I want to pull up something that is the biggest game of his career. Missouri finally wins, or has a chance to win, 10 games for the season, or they did. Can't remember. 10 games, maybe 10 games. And they go against the Ohio State University in the Cotton Bowl this year. Cody Schrader has a lot to prove. If he doesn't perform well against a top college defense, how is that going to transfer into the NFL? So we go and look at this Cotton Bowl, and we'll see exactly what Cody Schrader can do. So starting in, he can see exactly knows where to follow his blocks, cuts through the hole, gets a little bit of yardage for that one. He's running back in. We see Cody Schrader right here. He's lined up, hits a hole, boom, gets some more good yardage. He knows exactly how to follow those blocks like I mentioned before. Very high IQ football player. That's what you want. Now, Cody Schrader's lined up. You got somebody in motion. Doesn't follow the motion, cuts back a little bit, gets through the hole, gets a very good gain out of that. If you're getting about 5 yards a gain, that's what you want from a running back. Cody Schrader again, cuts to the side. We see that kind of speed that he's exhibiting, that 4.6 speed where he can't really run past defenders. Boom, another hole. Follows a block, can run through defenders too. And this is where Cody Schrader kind of helps Missouri get on the board. You have a 3-0 deficit to Ohio State. He put 7 on the board for Missouri. What better person to do it than who? Cody Schrader, the first team All-SEC All-American player on your team. Give him the rock. We see it right here. We see a little bit of replay. They're circling the blocks for a reason because that's exactly where he knows what to follow. Boom, a hole right into the end zone. That's what you want from your running back. And as we get towards the end of the game, he gets it right here, kind of follows his blocks, goes out of bounds, late hit. We see it right there. Now, Missouri ended up winning. We'll see in just a second. They won this game 14-3, which is big for Schrader. He's one of the biggest game in his career against the Ohio State University. We see on this last run right here exactly what Cody Schrader can do blocking wise. Look at that. He blocks. And I know I kind of dug on his blocking, but there's a little bit of blocking that I can give him credit for. You got to give credit where credit is due. He extends the run past where it should have been, frankly, about 5 yards less. And we'll see what Cody Schrader can do in the Senior Bowl preparing for the draft. And hopefully y'all saw exactly what I did in this player. I like to do a lot of SEC players because that's where I see the most competitiveness in football. But again, I want to thank everybody for watching. I appreciate everyone for watching. And until the next draft profile, I'll be here. I'm Connor Davis, and I'm out.